This program has become rotten to the core, and they need to fix it and motherfucking fix it right now.
Okay, yesterday we went from Michigan has fired head coach Sherrone Moore for cause to then this being the image on everybody's timeline shortly after. Today's signal loss, we got an article by Robert Littell who kind of detailed the whole thing. In January 2026, following the national championship win and Harbaugh's departure to the Los Angeles Chargers, to avoid further NCAA sanctions, Moore is officially named the 21st head coach of Michigan. He signs a 5-year contract starting at $5.5 million annually. 2024 season, year one, Moore guides the Wolverines to an 8-5 record. Despite the rocky start, the team finishes strong, upsetting number 2 Ohio State 13-10, who then goes on to win the national championship. Moore then leads them to a 9-3 record, keeping them in playoff contention until late in the year. We're going to play that video in a sec, but this is what we got. Mid-November 2025. Mid-November. The University of Michigan's athletic department receives an anonymous tip alleging that Moore is engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, identified in reports allegedly as executive assistant Paige Shiver. A confidential internal investigation then launches. Early December 2025, investigators reportedly find credible evidence corroborating the tip. Multiple rumors have come out about abortion, stalking, salary spikes, and even attempted murder, but none of them have been confirmed. Wednesday, December 10th. Early afternoon, university officials present their findings to Athletic Director Ward Manuel. The decision is made to terminate Moore's contract immediately for cause. Moore catches wind that he could be in trouble as his staff and team met with the AD without him. At some point, Moore leaves the facilities and heads back to an apartment complex. Wednesday, December 10th at 4 p.m. Police are called to the residence in the 3000 block of Ann Arbor Saline Road regarding a domestic dispute. Moore is detained by the Saline Police Department. Unconfirmed rumors say Paige Shivers, the girl who Moore allegedly slept with, resides there. Now, internet speculation obviously is going wild. Wednesday, December 10th at 4:43, Ward Manuel releases an official statement announcing that Moore has been fired for cause due to a violation of university policy regarding the inappropriate relationship, and that Biff Poggi will be named the interim coach. Okay, so per his reporting, this whole thing, it was kind of out of order, right? Because the way the order that I had it was fired, statement, arrest. But I guess it was fired, and then before the statement, he went to this residence, which obviously makes this even worse. Wednesday, December 10th at 8:30 p.m., Sherrone Moore is formally booked into the, Wichita County Jail. Police confirm the incident is being investigated as an alleged assault. Okay, crazy. This is the media release. Let me blow it up a little bit more. The Passfield Police Department responded to the above location at the above date and time for the purposes of investigating an alleged assault. The department has received multiple media requests for information. A suspect in this case was taken into custody. The incident does not appear to be random in nature, and there appears to be an ongoing threat to the community. The suspect was lodged at the Washtenaw, county jail pending review of charges by that county prosecutor. At this time, the investigation is ongoing. Given the nature of the allegations, the need to maintain the integrity of the investigation at its current state at this time, we are prohibited from releasing additional details. Further details regarding the incident will be released as soon as permissible. Jeez. Okay. The legal standpoint, what happens next? Okay, step one. Two-front legal war, one for his freedom and one for his buyout. The contract and the buyout, civil liability. The stakes, Moore had roughly, here are the stakes. Moore had roughly $14 to $16.5 million remaining on his contract. The for cause clause, Michigan explicitly fired Moore for cause. In coaching contracts, the designation typically voids the university's obligation to pay any buyouts. The inappropriate relationship and policy violation are the university's legal justification for zeroing out his payout. The fight. Moore's legal team will likely sue for wrongful termination. Okay. But the documented NCAA violations, deleting text, combined with the new policy violation and potential criminal charges, create nearly insurmountable defense for the university. It should be noted that Moore had a clause in his contract that prevented any of the previous sign-stealing scandals from being cause for his firing. Okay, so he'll escape on the front of the revisiting any of that stuff, but this is going to be a tough one for him to. My guess is it's going to be a tough pull for him. I was told that potentially one thing that he could look into is if Michigan knew about this for a while and chose to wait until either they had a coach or until they thought it was going to come out to then fire him for cause. So that honestly is creating a mess, because if Sherrone Moore wants to go the route, well, Michigan covered it up, this could create an even bigger mess if that was true. I'm not saying that's true. The assault charge, that is criminal liability. The charge was booked pending review of charges. Michigan's domestic assault is the most likely initial charge. The first offense is a misdemeanor, punishable by 93 days in jail and or a $500 fine. Aggravated domestic assault, if the victim suffered a serious aggravated injury, the charge escalates to a misdemeanor and up to 1 year and a $1,000 fine. The future, if convicted, even a misdemeanor, a violent crime on his record would likely render him unemployable in major college football or the NFL for the foreseeable future. Yeah, this whole thing is a mess. And now what you've got going on here is going to be, okay, well, did Michigan cover it up? Did they not cover it up? When did they know? Why the timing right now? I mean, this feels like this is going to be kind of a mess that is ongoing. And again, in 24 hours, we got the head coach at Michigan being fired. Not even 24 hours, in 10 hours. We got the Michigan head coach getting fired. The person who he was allegedly sleeping with, her, father is in the NFL as an executive scout for the Bears, I believe, is the internet rumor right now. We've got, threats of, harm to himself and others, I guess. And I mean, this is an all-time crash out kind of caused by, it's hard to get a grip on. And I wanted to go to this because I thought this Dave Biddle tweet was important. Sadly, here we go. Ridiculous. They did this less than a week after signing day, if they knew, but all those players are free to leave regardless. It's still shady, though, and that's in response to Matt Zenitz. Michigan AD, told the team staffers, or at least part of the team, that the Sherrone Moore investigation, which had become far from secret internally, had been going on since mid-November. Oh my God. Hey, make sure you like and sub while you're here. We'll be covering this thing kind of start to finish, and obviously we have a lot of good content coming out on the channel daily. So this Sherrone Moore investigation was no secret, and it does feel like a lot of people knew about this. More people knew about this than anyone's willing to admit, which is one of the more bizarre things. I mean, here's the thing. Ron says it, and I say it too. When we find out about things that we aren't really looking into, that means a lot of people around have that thing. And this is what that feels like, but they waited until after National Signing Day. Crazy. This had been a normal day at Michigan until about 4:20 Eastern time, and the team was even set up to practice coming up tonight. Jeez. However, team staffers were abruptly called in for a team meeting, which they were told that Sherrone Moore had been fired. The team was then told afterwards. This timing is so unique, especially when everybody's of the belief that they knew. Okay, this is from Dan Dibjek. This is important. I did get this correction. Team Up North attempted to operate with integrity, yet they knew about this for over 2 months, reportedly, and allowed an entire recruiting class to commit, sign before taking action. These kids now can't leave until 5 days after a new coach is hired, meaning the likelihood of them being able to enroll for the next semester and participate in the spring practice is severely hindered. Total scumbag move. I believe they can still hit the normal portal. I don't know. I'll have to look into it. I'll have to look. Let's look. Transfer, because there's new transfer portal rules. Because a couple years ago, it was like the portal automatically opened up when your coach got fired. Now I think it opens up a couple days after your new coach gets hired. But I'm wondering if they can use the traditional portal right now is what I'm really curious about. Transfer portal rules with new coach. Okay. This is from October 7th. The NCAA Administrative Committee approved two significant changes to the transfer portal, shrinking the amount of time granted for athletes to declare their intentions to pursue a transfer, finalizing the modification brought forth last month. The FBS Oversight Committee, College Football Transfer Portal, will now just have one window to enter the portal moving forward rather than one winter and one in the spring. Okay, we knew that. That window in 2026 will run for... Okay. The second alteration... 5 day... All right, let's see. That window in 2026 will run for 2 weeks, January 2nd to 16th, because the 12-team playoff expands deep into January. Players participating in postseason games on or after January 12th will have an opportunity to start the transfer process during a five-day period that begins the day after their final postseason game. The second alteration pertains to the transfer exceptions granted for players after coaching changes. The exception currently allows players to enter the transfer portal during a 30-day window that opens the day after their coach leaves or is fired. The committee approved the new format, however, that is shortened to 15 days and begins 5 days after the new coach is hired or announced, seemingly in an effort to crack down on mid-season portal activities. Both of these changes will be finalized after the committee concludes its meeting on Wednesday. Players and coaches have already departed this season, are grandfathered in, and may still enter the transfer portal within the existing 30-day window that will include the players at UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, and Arkansas, which all fired their coaches within last month. The adjustment to the rules involving programs with coaching changes could result in fewer players leaving their teams after changes in leadership, and has not been uncommon in the seasons past to see a mass exodus in the wake of a coach's firing or retirements, but with the players required to stay put until after a replacement is selected. Some could elect to play for the new coach instead of seeking a new team together. The new 15-day January window is open to all players and is longer than the initial January 2 to 11 window. Transfers must enter the name into the portal that window, but are not required to enroll at a new school before the January 16th entry deadline. This is the replacement for the previous December window and marks end of the spring window, which draws heavy scrutiny from coaches due to its timing, inclusion of the team's most spring camps. More than 1,000 FBS players used post-spring portal window this year. Okay, a couple things aren't clear to me. What I'm really curious about is I can't imagine it does, but there's no way that these players now are locked in and can't use the January window if Michigan does not have a new coach. So I think you should have access to both windows. So they might have to wait till 5 days after to hit the portal, or in January they should all be eligible to hit the portal. Is my takeaway from it. So I'm not sure that they're locked in permanently, but it's still shady. Michigan still did the thing where they're keeping mean, kids aren't able to go right now, so it's definitely a mess of sorts, to say the least, I guess. We have this Spiro, who's been covering this pretty aggressively, and again, for months now, he's been saying stuff about this, which is what makes it really crazy. The fact that Michigan, I mean, that kind of leads credence to the conspiracy theory that, like, Michigan covered it up. Because how did Spiro know about this for certain and know every single detail? Too much for it to just be a coincidence. And yet the University of Michigan waited till after the season and after signing day to fire him.
At some point in the close to, if not immediate wake of this termination, Sherrone, at some point in the close to, if not immediate wake of this termination, at some point in the close to, if not immediate wake of this termination, Sherrone Moore made his way over to his mistress's house and was in some state of despair, distraught, mix of anger, whatever. And the details are a little bit fuzzy on what exactly took place there, whether he threatened to kill himself or threatened to kill her or some combination of the both of the two. I don't know. I'm working on that. I'm hearing kind of both of those things, but I'll just say you're not going to get arrested just for showing up at someone's house invited and saying hello. So at some point,
this whole thing is a mess, and I hope this whole thing also serves as like a life lesson to anybody, to everybody. Like, two parts. Like, you got to climb the mountaintop, like, through everything, and also, like, I don't know. There's like a bunch of lessons in this, and obviously, like, Nick Saban had a lot. I mean, there's always a better route. There's always a better option, and you can't let something deteriorate. You can't let something snowball into something so awful like this if you're Sherrone Moore, like what allegedly has been going on.
There's just a few things.
This from Yoder, which we are now several scandals in, and all like a bunch of issues into this Michigan thing. I think it is time to clean house. And I think if there was a cover-up here in any way, and now's the perfect time to clean house. Because honestly, like, I always get on Michigan fans, but Michigan fans deserve better. University of Michigan deserves better. And it's like, if you deserve better if you're the university, you have to pick yourself up and got to put the thing back together. Like, the Michigan fans are arrogant. A little bit, sometimes it's a little bit much for me, but I get it. It's fan bases. But, like, dog, like, this kind of thing can't keep happening. We're now talking about every single year feels like something worse comes out about this program. They're looked at sideways, not just by Ohio State fans, but nationally. I talk to plenty of people. They got to clean this up, and I think clearing house is what they should do. And it becomes so easy, especially if this ends up being a cover-up, like a lot of people suspect, because, again, the whole internet knew about this. Everybody knew about this. I mean, you got guys tweeting about this for months and months and months ago with the name, with the picture, all that. And yet, it's just now being found out by the university a week after signing day. Like, there's no way.
Just a complete embarrassment to Michigan football, a complete embarrassment to just a few things that are just a complete embarrassment to Michigan football, a complete embarrassment to the fan base and the university, its students, its alumni. Let's just go back and talk about Matt Weiss for a second, right? He gets fired right after the TCU game, the TCU abomination of a loss in 2022. A few weeks.
Real quick, just on Yoder. A lot of people think he's counter media, and a lot of people think he is someone that kind of like tries to market himself as like Ohio State's favorite Michigan fan because he points out things that are wrong with this program. When in reality, he's just the counter media in the sense that everybody else that like is in the Michigan circle kind of serves as a mouthpiece. I mean, guys like Sam Webb, that kind of carry water for the program instead of like doing their job. And when that happens, you end up, instead of helping your university move forward and like hold them to a higher standard, you end up kind of being your university's PR firm. And because Yoder wasn't that, he kind of gets alienated by a lot of the fan base, because a lot of the fan base, they believe their media and they believe the mouthpiece media when they say these things about the university, even though Yoder will come out and say things that are like really like brutally honest. But because it's so counter media in terms of like what the normal culture is, like he gets like villainized almost. Because, like, the media's job is not to serve the establishment. The media's job is supposed to be to serve the people while, offering some level of protection, protection to the university in terms of like as things are like onwards and going on. So like what I mean by that is if something horrendous happens at Ohio State, it is not the media's job to run cover for Ohio State, because what that does is it empowers and enables Ohio State. What the media's job is to do is to ask the tough questions so the people can have the university held to the standard that they hold them at. You can't say Michigan's the best, Michigan's the best, Michigan's the best, and meanwhile they're doing all the deplorable acts in the background. Because then when it happens, it's like when they do those deplorable acts because they've been empowered by their media, all it does is embarrass the fan base. So I think Yoder is kind of what's needed here. Also, one of the great hairline recoveries. Like every time I think about showing my hairline off after like my whole thing, I think about like his hairline coming back in full force. It's sharp.
FBI raids his house, and it comes out the TCU game, the TCU abomination of a loss in 2022. A few weeks, FBI raids his house, and it comes out 6, 8, 12 months later, whatever it was, that he had been stealing private photos and hacking Instagram and Twitter and social media accounts, and I'm sure Dropbox, Google Photos, iCloud, of numerous hundreds of college athletes. How that even happens, how he even has the the capabilities to even accomplish that is one thing, let alone the fact that he did it, and he was the co-offensive coordinator along with Sherrone Moore in 2022 and with Josh Gaddis, right, in 2021, I believe I'm recalling correctly, but who cares at this point. You've had plenty of other things. You had Alex Ude, right, the guy Isaiah Hole said was not my place to report a pedophile, right, a Michigan football staffer wearing, gosh damn it, Jack, the same friggin' outfit that I have on right now, caught in a Walmart by some vigilante justice guys.
Again, 100%. Like that, 100% the case.
Buying vodka with the intent to meet up for what he thought was a 14 or 13-year-old girl to seemingly get her drunk and try and have sex with her as like a 23, 24-year-old guy. Just absolutely abhorrent behavior. There's other ones. You guys remember them. I'm just going off my memory here. Now this. At what point does Michigan just quit with the shenanigans, quit with the bullshit? Mike Hart, what the hell happened to him, right? He went from running backs coach for the national champions to disappear off the face of the earth. Now is a staffer, not even a coach for Eastern frigging Michigan. All right, what are the other ones I'm even missing here, Jack? I'm trying to just think about Denard Robinson, right? Getting a DUI, pulled over the side of the road, drunk off his ass. Now he's doing media hits with Sloppy Sam. He's just, no big deal. Could have killed a bunch of people, Denard Robinson. I'm starting to agree with Ohio State fans. I'm starting to agree with Michigan fans that this program has become rotten to the core, and they need to fix it and motherfucking fix it right now. Biff Poggi is the
rotten to the core, and they need to fix it right now. Yeah. Again, like we're just entering a territory that is kind of absurd that this would happen to Michigan. And again, like the arrogance that Michigan like moves around with, this isn't supposed to happen at their program. And it's like if Michigan cares about the university, like cares about the people that went to the university. I mean, fuck, my mom went to the university. Like my mom, like embarrassed by this kind of thing. Like we talked for about like 30, 40 minutes yesterday. Embarrassed, disgusted. Like how, like why does this university keep popping up? And the way they talk about like Ohio State fans or the Ohio State program being dirty, it's like, whoa, the last like 24 months have been honestly an embarrassment. And like part of me is like so embarrassed because I like to think that like the dirtiest programs in the SEC, and I'm looking at my rival like, yo, can you tighten up? Staffers arrested since Harbaugh hire. Denard Robinson, DUI. Steve Klingsdale, DUI. Matt Weiss, pervert. Craig Suggs, DUI. Fergus Connolly, DUI. Punch police officer. Biting hospital staff. Jim Minnick, DUI. Sherrone Moore. Stay tuned. It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. Then we got this. I discussed on my spaces today, Mia Sorority says Sherrone Moore contacted her via DM, which would make her one of the many women he's had such exchanges with. Here she's rooting on the Wolverines a couple years ago. Now, I can't go to her page. I'm not going to click on it because I don't want the video to, anything bad to happen to the video. But she is an OnlyFans model, and this is, James Yoder. Fuck Sherrone Moore. This is an OnlyFans model. I was surprised he was all in my DMs trying to risk it all with an OF model. Crazy. No. Okay. She's at the game. Michigan fan. Knows her stuff. Can't go to her Twitter because obviously you don't want to get anything in trouble. There's that. And then this. Now this kind of thing is coming out. Don't know if it's real or not, but it is crazy. That is, I guess, Sherrone Moore and the girl. Someone told me she looks like a 19-year-old Erica Kirk. I was like, whoa, chill out. The Coldplay meme. Goodness gracious. The girl that he allegedly was with. Friend sent me this photo of Sherrone Moore walking past our house on campus April 16, 2024. Walking with her. Crazy. Also thumb in the picture. Again, journalism versus a mouthpiece. This is really important, and I hope that more people are really, really careful about this. This guy, a journalist or mouthpiece for the university, bro lied to his board members with a straight face. Why is anybody paying money to be lied to on the Michigan 247 site? This is what I think is so important to talk about. And Sam Webb got away with this once before because when the whole Buckeye scoop thing happened and the whole like hammer, then the hammer didn't happen, the Michigan people felt like they got vindicated for saying no hammer was going to come when even though their sources were likely Connor Stallions or they were not sourced up and they were lying on behalf of the university in an attempt to kind of keep and protect recruits. This is where we're at. A salacious rumor about Sherrone Moore surfaced earlier today and sadly has been spread as fact. It wasn't reported by a credible source, but that hasn't stopped it from spreading. I won't give it credence by reposting it here, especially since other programs are using it in recruiting and their attempts to break up the class and push current players into the portal. Here's what I can say on the matter after doing some digging. No, he hasn't been, nor has he been slated to be fired. And no, there hasn't been any evidence of misconduct. It's sad to think of the extra life this rumor gained from Saturday's loss. His tweet 15 hours ago with replies turned off. He is the worst of the Michigan media by a mile. It's not even fucking close. Multiple sources have informed me that Michigan has fired Sherrone Moore with the comments turned off. Do we have anything else from his page? No. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. The Wolverine Daily. Sam Webb lied to everyone. He almost always has, and now has turned his replies off to refuse any form of accountability. 100%. Oh, this is more just like I was kind of tacking things off as like things, were happened. The arrest number, we already went through that. Man. This from Front Office Sports, my favorite place to get sports news, to be honest. Sherrone Moore was detained by police after being fired from Michigan following an investigation into inappropriate relationship with a staff member. The reason was unclear. Moore was then handed over to another police department. So we've got the whole thing kind of it. I don't know if there's anything else that I need to touch on this. Oh, the Doug Lamorese thing. I didn't love this, but this crazy. 7 of the preseason top 25 teams have now changed head coaches. Penn State, LSU, Michigan, Florida, Kansas State, Ole Miss, ISU, and that's it. That's it. Shout out Doug, man. Love Doug.
Apologize for the delay. This has been a really, really, really hectic and busy week. But let's move on to the news. Michigan has fired Sherrone Moore. With stuff like this, I want to spend more time.
You know what? This is what I'm going to do. Later today, I'm going to drop a full signal lost. I will have a part 1, a part 2, and likely a part 3, assuming it gets the amount of likes and comments that would encourage me to keep going. And so be able to look out for that tonight. Ron and Q will be back at some point. I'll probably drop a signal loss with Q, I think, in the coming days as well. So we're going to have a lot of stuff coming. Make sure you like and sub. It helps us as we continue to grow. And then, hey, be on the lookout because I'm thinking tonight at 9 p.m. I will have that signal lost episode ready to roll. A reaction. How Michigan media is taking the firing of Sherrone Moore. And I was going to do initial firing, but now we got to react to the firing and kind of the fallout afterwards. But I'll catch you guys when I catch you guys.